Hold it in the middle, hands close together, and just pulling two hands away from each other. But this can be as gentle or as vigorous as you like. And remember, just twisting the hands gently against each other. Pulling the stick with the hands to try and get a little bit of action in the chest, in the heart. And then pushing the hands towards each other. So reversing the strain. Again, trying to get the action in the chest. My shoulders are really relaxing down, but inside my chest is pushing up into the thymus from my sitting bones on the chair. And just twisting the hands against each other a little. That will produce something of a figure of 8 in the chest. And now let's just pull again. So we want the forces to be relatively gentle. So my hands pulling away from each other. It's more like I've just relaxed down from the shoulders into the arms. We're using a little bit of force to generate or reveal or expose energy. When you get it right, the stick starts to feel strange, almost like it's become rubbery. So it's actually stretching with this pull. Not just the stick, but you inside. And then just pressing the stick, pushing the two hands towards each other a little bit. The forces have reversed, so everything sort of switches, but it becomes the same sort of situation. One of energy flowing, circulating around my body, and me just becoming aware of that. The energy we work with in Tai Chi, it's nothing to do with the energy of the physicist. It's all to do with heart. Now let's bring the stick behind the neck and just do a few twists. Just drape your hands over the stick so you don't actually have to grip it. Try and get the spine erect. And start turning. As you turn one side, you're pushing into this like a rubberiness that's trying to return you. You want to feel that as energy. So as I'm turning to my left here, my body is twisting up and wanting to spring me back to the front. I want to feel that as a flow of energy towards my right side, which I then just release and follow. If I use too much force, if I twist too much to the left here, then I won't feel that return. And now a few tipping. Feel the muscle stretching, wanting to spring back. Let's just do a few more twisting. Feel the spine as two. Your left side, your right side, and they're twisting around each other, twining, twinning. And then just lift it over the head. And now just have one hand either end of the stick. And now just relax and just see what happens. If you just relax the arms, then your two hands are trying to pull down the stick. And feel the strain. Where is it? And if you hold it long enough whilst paying attention, then everything will change. The quality of the stick certainly will feel as though it's changing. It's becoming a little bit bendy. So we want to do the breathing exercise, but I want to really get it coming from the legs, the real activity of the legs. So my legs aren't suffering to take me down. They're really pulling. So I want my legs to bend, the hamstrings tightening. The hamstrings tighten and pull me down into the legs. And it just draws my sacrum and tail into my hamstrings. That's the feeling. So my head has to lean over a little bit, otherwise I'll fall backwards. And that's the squeezing, the out breath phase, if you like. And then I just straighten up, the legs straighten a little bit, and it can open up. Now bending the legs and straightening. Bending, I get sucked down into the legs, so I have to lean forward with my upper back to prevent myself from falling. Just trying to feel the action coming from the legs rather than from my head or my arms. I bend the legs, that draws me down into them. And then I straighten. The action starts in the legs, not the hands. So my legs start bending and pulling down. My hands come in, very much secondary. And then I squeeze up from the ground and my hands go out slightly later. It's much more difficult. Okay, now just settling into riding horse and just feeling this point. And now the exercise where we make ward off, making a big circle basically. So with my right arm. And then my left arm. I'm just turning as much as I can and getting the arm to make as big a circle as possible, the hand. But again, I want it starting in the legs. So the hand is very much secondary. It's very much coming after what happens in the legs. And back to riding horse. Relax shoulders, shoulders relaxing down into the hips relaxing down into the feet, splitting at the dantian. And now really trying to feel the action of the legs that makes the turn. So I straighten this leg and it turns me this way. And then I bend this leg and it will turn me back to the front. And then I straighten this leg, turns me this way, and then I bend that leg. Feeling the action of the leg, a straightening immediately followed by a bending. The straightening turns me to the side and the bending turns me back to the front. So the straightening brings me into bow and arrow, and the bending brings me into riding horse, feet parallel. So straightening, bending, straightening, bending. I want to try and really straighten the leg. It's difficult to straighten the leg. It wants to stay a little bit bent in the knee. So this feels like I'm unrolling, and this feels like I'm rolling back up again. Opening up, closing down. And feel the spiral in the leg. The spiral is basically the same as the spiral that's happening in the arm. I want to feel the leg coming up the spine. So as I straighten this leg and twist it like this, it's really coming up here. So my whole leg and spine tries to arch backwards like this. Exaggerate that a little bit. So here, it really is opening up. And then when you reverse it, you close it down. There's a sense of sinking. Twisting this way is the attacking spiral, which tends to thrust my thymus up. And then this way is the yielding spiral, which pulls my heart in. Feel the action of the legs coming into the heart. I'm feeling the legs. The legs are full of passion. The key to unlocking the heart is the cross energy, is the two sides of the body doing opposite things. And that's perfect here. One side of the body is straightening, the other side is bending, and then they swap round. They're always changing, but they remain in balance. As one becomes more straight, the other one has to become more bent, and vice versa. And now, same thing, but just a little bit more quickly. I want to still feel the legs. One of them is straightening, one of them is bending. So very much two things happening that are coordinating. And then you can just let the arms go, but it's the same action in the legs. Back to here. Now a little bit of the heaven and earth exercise. So here we have to feel the split. So you think of the artery splitting into the two legs, or just, the one becoming two, and getting a slight sort of wriggle. So as I split into the two legs, I'm sort of turning back so that they really do separate from each other. And the same with the arms. Back into riding poise. Just feel the resonance between the two sides. It's sort of wobbling away inside. the two sides of your body, which are here doing the same thing, don't want to do that. They want to alternate and do opposite things. So riding horse, this sort of symmetrical posture, is very much a posture of conflict. In a sense, it's sort of relaxing and settling and sort of low energy because it doesn't have the springiness of bow and arrow. But in another sense, there's part of you that's almost beginning to get a bit irritated because you want to break free and just start basically figure of eighting. And then let's just figure of eight. The temptation with the figure of eight is to pay attention to the top of the eight as it comes over the top and sort of ignore the other one that's coming underneath. We really want our mind to be more with the bottom, more with this leg that's straightening, the same as when we were doing the turning, by straightening and bending the leg. My leg straightens and that takes this hand down into it. And then as it starts bending, it slips underneath the figure of eight and starts coming up. And I want to feel it as energy rather than simply force. So in one sense, this leg is pushing the ground in order to push this hip round. So the leg is straightening and pushing me round. But what that will tend to do is it's always tend to bring me up a little bit. So what I want is, as I straighten the leg, to get a sense that this leg is penetrating the ground and going down into it. We just have to keep our mind with that. We're much more being drawn down into the legs and into the ground than we are being projected up into the hands and the head. So this is going down here. This happens to be coming up just to balance the system. Remember, energy is of the heart, is of the feelings. So it has to be doing something here. Something in you has to be getting impassioned. Something in you has to be heating up, getting more involved, more possessed, more like you're getting into a trance. So it's the opposite of mechanical movement. Mechanical movement has no feeling. We want this to be purely generated by feeling. to start with, it generates feeling. So if I keep the exercise going, it will wake me up and bring me more into my heart. But eventually I want the passion in my heart to really animate this exercise. And then it'll take you somewhere you've never been before. This is how we progress. We progress by allowing the energy to take us. Your progression is not your clever mind extrapolating from the work that you're doing. Your movement is from the energy. The energy is taking you. And now let's bring it up and just do a bit of this one. Now we're getting the same figure of 8. It's the same exercise basically, but now the figure of 8 in my arms is less visible, but I'm feeling it much more in my feet. As my heel comes up, I'm going around the toes. As my heel goes down, I'm going around the heel. And again, the temptation is to be with the foot with the heel coming up, because that's the one that's bright and visible. But actually, I want to really pay attention to the heel that's going down, because that's the one that slips underneath the other one and uproots it. There's a simple figure of 8 going around my feet or around my hips, and yet each foot has its own figure of 8 inside it. You see, feel how when you really get into it, the shoulders tend to come up. So you want to let that happen, and then you just say, okay, you just tell yourself relax. So just let that back into the body. So the sort of waves of passion. And then you just have to bring it inside and get it to be more in your core than it is in the heart and the shoulders. So nothing is wrong. It only becomes wrong if it lasts too long. Things tend to overstay their welcome. And now let's just step with the figure of 8, just very gentle. I'm looping around my hips. The important thing when we come into a foot is that we go around it like that. So the heel and around the outside edge. Otherwise, you won't get that cutting vegetable energy. So I'm going around this foot. And remember, we keep the hand out because that will pull me into this outside edge. And then this goes down, but it goes around, it circles. You can feel it circling in the knee or just see it in the foot from the heel round the outside edge, little toe through to the big toe. This should feel like a smile. You know, a smile is just like the two corners of your mouth and they're pulled up. It's the same here. This is one side, one edge, and this is the other edge, and it pulls up. Here, it pulls up. And the smile is just a container. It's an embrace, it's a hug. Here I'm hugging this foot. Here I'm hugging this foot. And you can see it's just waving hands in the clouds with a step forwards and back. And then changing the feet. Round, round. And feel it. Now this should feel really soft and nice, you know, peaceful, compassionate. And this is just the stepping in the Tai Chi. So the stepping shouldn't stress us out. You know, we don't get worried and tense when we lift a foot off the ground. With this foot comes up simply because I've relaxed into this foot properly. So I yield to the foot. I yield to this foot. I contain it. And then just doing the two circles, a bit like earlier on, but circle's much smaller now. So I'm really feeling it going around this foot and then around this foot. It's basically the same exercise we've just done, but without the step. Feeling the two sides. The more compassionate attention I can pay to this side, the more this side will become mischievous and naughty. It will want to sort of break out. You know, when the cat's away, the mice will play. So the more attention I put here, the more free this one is to do its own thing. And then back to riding horse. And now it should feel very much like these two cylinders, almost like a roller, like a wringer, an old wringer. You remember when we used to wring out the clothes in the washing machine? I'm working my body softly and correctly, in other words, single-weightedly. I'm allowing the mind to quieten so that the heart can wake up and journey. The feeling is that, you know, the heart is just reaching out and just exploring. And then bringing it up. This exercise, we'll just keep it as minimal as you can, but there's this gentle pump going on between the two legs, a pump in each leg, but alternating. So everything in the body is two, every single thing in the body, you know, like the brain, two hemispheres, the heart, the four ventricles, you know, the four rooms of the heart, two one side, two the other. And we just want to feel that play between them. The yin and the yang, the circle revolving one way and then the other, and then the other. They're never doing the same thing unless I impose that upon them.